Well, I was upset when I heard that Supreme Court decision also. And what it really felt like to me is that our Supreme Court had decided that corporations with a lot of money counted more than my vote. And I fought for my vote, just like most of you in here. It makes me very upset that a corporation that has no liability like a person does will be able to fund somebody's campaign. They can't fund it directly. Pretty much their decision said that Chrysler could go out and spend $10 million on ads that they produce and they run and they pay for against my campaign. Now, of course, they don't know I exist, but you know, it's not a law that says they can give money to the candidates. It just says corporations can run whatever ads they want. So if you're a pro-gun person, the anti-gun lobby could make a bunch of ads that would help your opponent and spend millions of dollars. And as most of us, especially Democrats, we don't have large vaults full of money, so we would lose because a corporation decided we could lose instead of the voters. So I think it's very important that we keep up with these laws. We put pressure on the Supreme Court to bring that up again and maybe make a decision that's more fair. I don't know how we could do that. But it also ties into all of the reform for campaign finances, where you wouldn't believe the loopholes that the corporations have for funding things. So I'm certainly upset that they did that. Thank you.
Now comes the part of the program that everybody's looking forward to, and you have the opportunity to jump up and ask the question that's just been burning to ask. But I ask one favor, please. No speeches. Dennis is going to guard the watch, and you've got 1 minute to ask your question. So we'll start with this gentleman right in the front.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Come up.
1 minute. One of the gentlemen just walked out, but I can catch him later. Following up on your first question, which had to do with campaign financing, I'd like to ask if any of you gentlemen have received, to this point, campaign financing from a large corporation. I'd like to know whether or not you were obligated to anybody whatsoever because of money you received from them.
Very good question, Harvey, and nice and short. That's what we want.
We'll
just pass it down.
Stay safe.
I'm probably more underfinanced than anybody. I have not received any funding from any special interest group, and the only special interest group I have is sitting right there.
The largest contribution that I have received is from the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, who contributed $10,000 to my campaign and have endorsed me. I have received no contributions from corporations. As a matter of fact, the way the campaign laws are written now, you can only receive funds from individuals or political action committees. And I've not been the beneficiary of any political action committees so far, and I'm hoping that the political action committees that created the $900,000 war chest for the Republican that one of us will face in November will find that it doesn't make any difference, because in the end, it's one man, one woman, one vote. It's not how much money you have. See, I agree with you. It is what you think about, where you got your money from. And so I don't have that to worry about.
Yeah.
All my contributions, with the exception of $5,000 from the Teamsters, have come from individuals.
It's a really good question, and actually the heart of the entire political problem we have is the corruption in the campaign financing. I can tell you the most disturbing thing that I actually received was a survey from, I'll just leave the group out, but they actually wanted me to agree to sponsor bills, co-sponsor bills, and do any number of things that I had never seen before they were going to send me money. So I can tell you that I made a conscious effort not to accept any money, and especially not union money or anything else, because the union money is generally the heavy one that gets into the campaign on the Democratic side. What I have found is these people that we see in Congress don't just appear to be bought and sold. I'm really confident they are, and their votes are prepaid long before they get there. So I can tell you that I'm not accepting anything, period.
Next question. Ma'am? Can you walk up?
It's very quick, take 1 second.
Okay. I'll repeat it because some people might not be able to hear in the back.
I want to know the specific strategy for job creation.
The specific strategy for job creation. Very good question. Thank you. And short.
Well, thank you for asking that. Of course, in Lee County, we have some of the highest foreclosure rates and the highest unemployment rates. And we have a two-phase approach. One would be short-term, a remodeling rebate, where all the homeowners could spend up to about $2,500. They'd get a rebate back in federal funds, not at the end of the year in a tax rebate, but they actually get the money back as long as they spend it on a licensed contractor doing some sort of remodeling on their home, because we have a huge number of construction people that are out of business. And that would be a short term to keep, because our economy is coming back up, but in the short term to keep those people from having their homes foreclosed, that's one of the things we would do short term. Longer term, I've been talking with lots of different new green energy companies. There's a company up in Michigan, where I'm from originally, that has figured out how to store hydrogen at low pressure in little bottles, in a powder. And so you can store it at 300 psi instead of 5,000, and you can drive your car on hydrogen, which has the same energy as gasoline and requires very little changes. So we're talking with that company, and we're looking at other companies like that to bring into our area clean, green jobs long-term. And part of what I did at General Motors was I put dealerships and colleges together to produce students that went into the workforce. So I'm familiar with the links between the universities and the industries and the federal government to promote and get them started. And that's what we need in our area of Florida. It's a lot more skilled jobs, because all of our young people, when they graduate from school, have to move somewhere else to find a good job, unless they go into the hotel industry or construction in our area. Thank you.
The strategy that I would employ begins with no additional stimulus funding. I think we're at a critical phase in our economy with respect to beginning to bring down the deficits. So that's the first thing. Whatever strategy we develop to try to create jobs in communities must begin with and encompass the fact that we're not going to increase the deficit to do that. Secondly, right now, there is no mechanism in place for prioritizing where relief goes. The relief comes to the state, and the state has the unilateral capacity to decide where it is to be spent. We exist in the 13th Congressional District in one of the highest unemployment areas in the state of Florida. And I don't even want to get into the greater impact that this has on minorities and the way we are skimping by now, evading the immigration laws. There are a lot of things that impact on this, but suffice it to say, what I would be looking at is how do we direct this money from the federal level to the areas in the states where it will do the most good, where it will have the most impact. And I would require not just a plan coming from the state as to saying we need X number of dollars, but I would like to see those dollars being sent to the areas where it will do the greatest good. And obviously the 13th Congressional District is one of those areas.